I got thoughts and you're gonna listen to them. Hello everybody and hi. And welcome back to Mental Health Mondays. I wanted to do this series more, and I've wanted to continue it for a long time, but I didn't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. I wanted to do it when I really felt like I had something to say, or like I felt like I really needed to say something. I didn't want to dilute it at all by just doing it en masse unnecessarily. I wanted to make sure that everything that I say needed to be said. And lately, there's been a lot of stuff that I've needed to said, and I don't have anybody in my life that I really feel comfortable venting to who is also available, so I'm just gonna do it to the entire literal world, including those people that I'm not venting to actively, because that's different somehow. And I can't find my notepad, so I wrote everything that I wanted to cover on a large piece of chalkboard from a bulk order of Lindt chocolate truffles. Did I say chalkboard? It's cardboard. So some of you may not remember, I did a series for a little while called Mental Health Mondays, and it's a ubiquitous, ethereal, always kind of happening series where I come and I get uncomfortably vulnerable to discuss my mental health state. By uncomfortable, I mean uncomfortable for you. I got no problem exposing myself wherever I go. And yes, you can take that how you wanna. So I guess this one is kind of just my Mental Health Mondays talking about being an adult and everything that comes with that. And more specifically, dealing with my first 9 to 5. And the most traditional possible 9 to 5 you can think of. I literally work in an office at a desk 5 days a week, 9 to 5, my 9 to grind. And since day one, I've had some emotional struggles with that, and not for the reasons that you might expect. And it's coming to a point now where it's getting in the way of me focusing on work, and it's getting to feel really overwhelming. Hence, I am making this video, and maybe you'll never see this. I don't even know if I'll post it, but I just need to get this off my chest. In case you've forgotten, I'll bring you up to speed. I am autistic. I was formally diagnosed last summer, 2 summers ago, but I am a schism with autism. I'm an Aspie eating a burger, and I have lots of the issues that often comorbidly associate themselves with that. I'm a very socially anxious person. Surprise, surprise, the guy who records videos alone all day doesn't like talking to people. I have a long history with the big sad, the whole 9 yards, you know, just all the basic stuff. I'm a basic bee. If I was a lady, I'd be sipping Starbucks and tea swizzling. I am also a Christian man, so I may bring some faith into this discussion because it is deeply intertwined with me. So get your loins girded, it's gonna get real. Growing up and growing into a young man, I always, whether consciously or subconsciously, I always held the belief that there is no greater personal failure than working an office job and working a regular 9 to 5. I don't know if that's a pride thing or me being dramatic, but I always kind of held the belief in the back of my head that the day I clock in at an office job, or like any kind of traditional career level 9 to 5, that's when I would say, okay, I'm wasted. Life's over. I've given up clearly on everything. I'm done. And that's always been my, whether conscious or subconscious, my belief about regular office jobs. And when I say when I use terms like 9 to 5, office job, regular job, that's all just to say any kind of job where I clock in, I am beholden to someone else, anything other than freelance and something that's not creative, just a bland old stereotypical adult job is what is the kind of job that I'm talking about. And it's been a really up and down struggle to reconcile that I have this kind of job, but I haven't given up on my dreams and the calling that I feel God has for me on my life. And that's it's been a really difficult thing to understand, the dialectics of it, the fact that I can have an office job and I can still be pursuing my passions and the things that I love and what I want to do, what I'm called to do. I'm not a failure, but I am still working the job that I'm working. And that's been really difficult. It's been a huge psychological hurdle for me to accept the circumstances of my life as they have been recently. This is the one kind of job that I always said I would never resort to no matter what. And I'll be clear, I'm not shaming this kind of work. I'm talking about, for me specifically, this is the case. If this is the kind of job that you want, then that's amazing. You should go for it. You should strive for that, and I wish you the best in that. I'm just saying that for me, individually, personally, I never considered it acceptable. The rubric by which I grade myself does not accommodate for this kind of life. And there's been a lot of life changes that have come along with this ordeal of trying to accept the realities of my life. And honestly, like the moving out, making my own meals and stuff, I mean, budgeting, none of that has been a difficult transition for me, living on my own. I have always wanted to live in a place where there aren't other people to accommodate. Honestly, the easiest thing that has happened in my life in the past year has been moving out. Because I've always been a very solitary creature and very, for better or for worse, self-isolating. So like the whole thing of moving out and doing my own grocery shopping, like all of that, like none of it's been difficult for me. These are realities of life that I was always prepared for. And I was always mentally fortified and ready to accept. But working an office job it's just... Even though it's an intermediary thing, and I accept that it's an intermediary thing, I know it's an intermediary thing, it's just something to do for now. And the job itself is fine. Like, there's definitely some issues with it, but as far as office jobs go, it's probably the best I could possibly do. The company I work for is amazing. They have extremely generous benefits and Christmas bonuses, and they give me free lunch. Like, if I wanted an office job, this is the best possible office job I could get. This is like a dream office job. And there are days where I'm like, I wish that I could be satisfied with that. I wish that it was enough for me, but it just isn't. And I'm glad that it isn't at the end of the day, because I feel like I have something more to offer, but I'm also trying to eat healthier. This is a made good cinnamon bun bar. It's fine. And that's part of the thing, though, is like knowing that as far as office jobs go, this is the best office job I could possibly get. And probably overall, it's one of the best jobs I could get. And it makes me feel like I'm not justified in whining, you know? But I hate talking about my job. Like when it comes up into conversation, like and sometimes I bring it up because I'm like, oh, maybe if I make a joke related to my job, then it'll be easy. It'll make it lighter, but it just doesn't. I try really hard to not let a conversation steer into my day job, because I know that on some level I'm ashamed of it. I'm ashamed to have the job that I do. And I think it ties back to just like, it feels like a moral failing, because I said I never thought I would accept a job like this. It's a job that gets busier in the summer, and we're getting into summer, and I've been able to tolerate it in the off season when it's slower, but it's getting busier. Part of my job, a tremendous part of my job, some would say the main part of my job, is talking to people and interacting with people, and some amount of that interaction is face-to-face in person. I've actually gotten way better at phone calls than I ever thought I would. I still hate phone calls. Don't ever call me. Text only. There's a very specific short list of people that can just call me. I never thought I'd be so comfortable with phone calls as I am currently. It's kind of remarkable, but it's still the in-person, the face-to-face is still like, ooh, I'm getting shaky thinking about it. It's the weirdest thing, social anxiety, for me, because I know that, like with all anxiety, exposure is in many ways the only way to, I mean, not in many ways, it is the only way that you get over anxieties. You get over a phobia by facing it. That's the only way. That's how you do it. But it's never it doesn't seem to take when it comes to social anxiety. I don't know why. When I worked in retail and I'm actually freaking out. I just got a flash of being back in retail and I can't handle it. When I was smack dab in the thick of it, talking to people all day in, day out, strangers, like, it never got easier. It only got harder. I still get just as scared and flustered talking to people as I've ever been. And now we're getting into the busy season, so there's more of that. And I'm just freaking out. I'm kind of burnt out on office work. And that's the thing, right? Because I've been burnt out on YouTube before. And there's been like a sniveling little runt in the back of my head being like, oh, it's probably YouTube putting you over the edge. YouTube's the only thing that keeps me going. I come home and I'm so thankful that I get to work on YouTube and edit videos and stuff. I have nothing left to give when the weekend comes around. I don't have the energy for chores. There have been the same dishes in my sink for 2 weeks because I don't have it in me. I just wasn't built for this. And I have vacation days, but I know I need to save 1 week for Christmas. I have another week I can do with what I please, but I don't think a week would be enough to recover myself. And I worry that it would just make it that much harder when I do go back. Because see, that's the thing. I've never understood vacation days when you don't like your job, which sounds counterintuitive. But if you hate your job and you take vacation, right? You give yourself a taste of a dream life, and then you have to slam back into that harsh reality that you live in. And that's the other reason I'm reluctant to take any days off from my day job, is because it's just gonna hit so much harder when I have to come back. And I recognize that what this job is allowing me to do outside of it. You're looking at all of it. I have a new bass guitar that I'm in love with. You can't even see it, but trust me, it's there. Like, I'm so thankful for the money, but frick, man, I wish it didn't cost so much. I wish it didn't take so much. The difficulties of my day job are it's not the job itself necessarily. Like the actions that I take and the activities I engage in on a daily basis at my job are not difficult, but it's an endurance thing. Being able to endure and keep up. It's the stamina that I struggle to feel like I have. And like some thoughts that I get in my head that I have to routinely combat and fight off are the thoughts of like, man, I would hate to have to do this long term and have to fight that, because it's like, I know it's not long term. I know that there's an end coming. I know that that it'll be different one day and it'll be better. But I see some of my coworkers that are retiring in the next few years. They're in their 60s, and people that have been working there that have been there for like 20 years. And when I see that and I think about that, it becomes less about a misguided sense of pride that I don't do this office work. I am an artist. I am an artistic. It becomes into like a genuine fear. That's the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night. It's the kind of stuff that freaks me out the most, that I'm most terrified of, is that there's a chance that that could be my life, that I could go that route. And that terrifies me. It absolutely terrifies me. Also, side note, 2 weeks off in an entire year? Who decided that that is adequate? Why is that acceptable? Like, maybe it's different if you like your job. I can understand. If I loved my job, like if I was doing YouTube full time, shoot, you couldn't keep me off it for 2 weeks at a time. But I don't get that. That's negligible. There's a guy who's coming back from a 2-week vacation tomorrow, and that's it for his entire year? That's ridiculous. That's insane. That's not acceptable. I need a month off just to sleep. And you're supposed to cram that all full of like activities and like going places. Like, shoot, man. The traditional work environment is just, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. And I know, like, for a fact that there's a lot of people, and there's definitely a lot of my coworkers, if they saw this video, that they'd think that I'm just being a whiny brat, that I'm just crying because I have to exist in the world. You don't have to accept less. If you have to work to live, then you might as well find a job that makes you live to work. Find a job that fuels you in and of itself. Like, I get it. There's always things you have to do that you don't want to. There's jobs you have to work while you're moving through to something else that you'd rather not, but you do it for a little while. But when it comes to a career, you cannot afford to settle. Your career is a legacy that you're going to leave behind. You can't let it be something that you're less than enthused about. And that's another thing, is there are tons of people in my work who are clearly settling for the jobs they have, and that's also terrifying. In a cosmic sense, my job is just the epitome of all my fears, if I let myself think of it, and I try not to let myself think of it, but then the job gets busy, and I start stressing, and my mind starts racing, and I just start getting on these tracks of, and just like hyperbolizing everything, because I know it's not gonna be forever. I know that intellectually, but it doesn't change the emotional experience and the emotional response that I have to all of it. There's so many basic things that I want to do. I want to clean my apartment. I want to work out consistently and live a healthier lifestyle. And even if I wasn't doing YouTube, I wouldn't be able to do all of that and still have time to do things that are personally fulfilling and bring me joy. It's just a tough period of life that I'm in right now. And overall, like, I'm in a better state emotionally than I have been for most of my life. It's just reconciling with reality. I'm just really struggling to do that. I'm not content with where I'm at. And I get really scared when I think about how where I'm at could put me somewhere, where that's going to lead, potentially. And there's lots of great things about my job. I work with my cousin, which is an absolute delight, and I definitely wouldn't have stuck around this long if it wasn't for him being there. I probably would have left after the first 2 weeks, if not for him being there. And my coworkers are largely really nice. There's some people that make me question if jail time is really that big of a turnoff. It's just learning to accept that I'm not where I want to be in life. And in fact, I'm at a point I never imagined I would be, in a bad way. I was about to leave it at the end of my 3-month probationary period. I was gonna go. I was gonna leave it for somewhere else. And I continued that for the next few months. I was on my work computer looking up like jobs on Indeed and like finding anywhere else. I submitted an application to Walmart that got rejected, which kind of hurts. Like, I was ready to go and I was praying to God and I was talking with him, and I was like, hey, can we, like, this can't be, this cannot be the way to go with this, right? And he called me to stay, and he currently is calling me to stay. And that's a whole other discussion of just waiting and what God has planned for me and remaining here. But I get the Sunday scaries every night because I'm so violently unfulfilled with my day-to-day life. I don't feel like I'm doing anything worthwhile until I come home and start working on YouTube. This has only more and more affirmed me in the idea that YouTube is it for me. There is no other job, other career path that I am willing to accept. That's kind of everything that I just wanted to talk about. The benefit of these kinds of videos is that by venting about it, getting it off my chest, and then curating it and editing, it helps to get it out of my head, which is where it's doing all the damage. It's a load off where I can just say it, I've said it, be done with it, not a problem anymore. So hopefully now I can focus a little better and not let the anticipatory anxiety of what is to come, because I am recording this on Sunday and I am going to work tomorrow. Hopefully I can prevent that from spoiling the time I have now, because the future doesn't exist yet. There's no reason to let it ruin the present, because the present does exist. But yeah, in summary of everything, I should probably go back to therapy. If you have thoughts, if you can commiserate with me, let me know in the comments. Am I crazy? Am I speaking right on out of my anus? Or is this kind of like, do other people experience this? Let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys for being here, and I love you. And I hope you have a really, really great day and a wonderful work week. I hope it's easy for you. Just a great day. I hope people bring donuts. Have a good time. That's what I hope for you. I hope for a good time. Okay. Bye.